This girl from Minnesota had some really big dreams. She became the iconic Mrs. C on Happy Days. Welcome, Marion Ross.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here and meet you. How lovely you are.
Isn't she nice?
Yes, right. And you're a reverend?
Yes, I am.
Do I have to be good?
Yeah, no, you don't have to be good.
Oh, good.
She's interviewing you.
That's right. How did this happen?
Find out everything I want to know.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we're glad that you're here. Now, when was it that you decided you wanted to be involved in Hollywood?
I wanted to go to Broadway.
Oh, really? So that's
yes.
what you wanted to do.
Oh, I wanted to be a stage actress.
Really?
And I would go to the. I was from Minnesota.
Yes.
I would go to the movies, and the movies meant everything to me.
Yes.
And then, but I was going to go and be on the stage.
Ah.
And I got a book about Noel Coward.
Yes.
Present Indicative,
Yes.
his young life, and I read all that, and I would read plays, and so that was the goal. Was then when my family, when World War II was over, and I'm like about 16, we sell everything in Minnesota. We get on the train and we move to San Diego because my father had been working at the Panama Canal during the war. So, well, this was not my original plan, but was a good thing because we had the Globe Theater in San Diego,
Yes.
famous theater.
Yes.
So I went to college, and I worked in all the theaters there, and shall I give you a quick synopsis?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then now when I'm 21, I run off and I elope.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
You
So-
eloped. Yeah. That was a kind of a quick romance, was it?
Yeah. So, so everybody around me at the college, my mother and everybody was very upset.
Yes.
And one of the women who taught Spanish came to me and she said, "I'm taking you up to Hollywood." Right away. She said she knew somebody at 20th Century Fox. So
She must have seen you had some talent.
right. So, but I'd been in all the plays, and I would, I was going to be somebody. So she took me on the train. We went to 20th Century Fox, and so I owed her a great deal.
Yes.
She got me started right away.
That's exciting. And you signed a contract there?
No, I had to then figure out things, and by the time I was 23, I was under contract to Paramount.
How did that happen?
Well, I had an agent. I got an agent, and they were always, the studios were always looking for new talent. And I was in a play. I was always finding a play to be in, and it was called Journey to Jerusalem.
Oh, okay.
By Maxwell Anderson.
Yes.
And it was about the boy Jesus, and I played the Virgin Mary.
Good for you.
So it was perfect for me.
Perfect, yes.
Right? So, and guess who played the boy Jesus?
Who?
Was a woman named Sylvie Drake, who then went on and became a big reviewer for the LA Times.
No.
I went on, they sent a talent scout to the theater, and I was brought into the studio to audition, and I was put under contract.
Of all things. What kind of pictures did you work on then?
Well, in those days, they used to sign you for a 7-year contract, but it had options. Every 6 months, they could.
So they could get out of
you.
your contract, but you couldn't get out of theirs.
No. So I didn't do very much. That first year, I didn't do very. Anyway, after the year was over, they let me go.
I see.
But guess who was also there, who was exactly my age?
Who?
Audrey Hepburn.
Oh.
So I went right out and I got some candy bars and ate them. And
So how did the role of playing Mrs. Cunningham come about?
Oh, that came all. Now I am in my. I'm so old. I'm like 50. I'm like 50.
50.
Now, so
still younger than me.
Many
So
other
still good.
but I was always acting. I was always doing very well.
Yes.
But now comes this thing. So the way Happy Days was set up, Tom Bosley had won the Tony on Broadway for Fiorello, so he's starring mostly. Then Ron Howard is a nice young boy, wonderful. And so the mother's part was, oh, Richard, you're not eating. Oh, Howard, Mary was so nice and sweet. And then, of course, they added the Fonz.
Yes.
And then he walked off with the whole show.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. So we had 10 wonderful years
That's
of the
great.
show.
Everybody watched
Still running,
that show.
I think.
Everybody watched that show, and they still do in reruns.
Right.
So that's great. Well, we want to talk more about that role and about your life on that role and what it was like to play this iconic mom while raising a family. But we're going to have to take a break. Okay. So we'll talk about that in just a moment when we come back.
Welcome back. So Marion, you got the part of Mrs. Cunningham, but in the beginning she was a very different character than we all remember.
Well, in the 50s, Tom Bosley was so dominant. He'd won a Tony on Broadway, so he carried all the lines, and I had, oh, Howard, oh, Howard, oh, how nice, oh, Richie, you know, you're not eating. This was my part, was very minimal. So they would say at the table read, you know, we would read the script. They'd say, Marion, read all the other girl parts or women's parts. You read all those too around the table. Yeah. So, boom, I would nod off, you know, and I'm so busy auditioning for these guys, and I just read these the best I can possibly do, and they'd snap around in their heads, and the writers, and they would start to write better for me all the time.
So you changed their minds, basically.
I think so. Yeah. Because I didn't pout or whine and say, gee, you've never given me anything good. I just kept selling myself.
You worked as hard as you could.
Selling myself, you know. My parts got better and better and better.
Yeah.
Was it difficult working with your co-hosts, your co-stars?
Well, it was. Tom Bosley.
Yes.
He's passed on, God bless his soul, so I can say whatever I want.
Yeah, that's right. He can't refuse.
Right. But he wanted, well, he won the Tony on Broadway. He wanted somebody more important than me, or famous or something. Yeah. And maybe he had somebody specific in mind. I don't know. So he didn't like me at all, and he treated me very poorly. Oh, no. He did. And so that went on for a couple of years. Yeah. Went on a long time.
When did it shift?
Pardon? When did it change? I think it's because I think he could see that I did have talent. I did know that I wasn't, and that everybody else loved me. So what was so terrible? Yeah. So he came around. So
you slowly won him over, huh?
But it was difficult for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it like playing a mom on TV and then really being like a single parent as well at home?
I would be so nice on the set when I was so perfect. I was such a perfect mother. And then as soon as I'd go home, I had at home a son and a daughter, but just a little bit younger than what I had on the set. So then the minute I walked in that door, I'm like a tiger, you know? Little kids are fleeing everywhere. Everybody had to be good because I'd been such a swell person on that set, you know? Yeah.
Now, your marriage, your husband was an alcoholic, is that correct?
Well, who knew? I mean, as far as I knew, I come from a family where there wasn't drinking. Yeah. So I didn't, but otherwise, socially, as far as I could see, everybody drank. Yeah. You know, and in the movies, it's always very chic, you know? I didn't drink very much because I didn't drink in college. I didn't, so it was quite an education for me.
Did it take you a while to realize that there was a problem?
It took me a long time. It took me a long time. Yeah. And then I had a girlfriend that I loved so much, and at one point she told me, she said, you know, I'm an alcoholic. I said, you are? I said, well, don't be.
You just fix that. Just fix that. Yeah.
So she would then take me to Alcoholics Anonymous. Yes. and I didn't like any of this. Meanwhile, I'm going to the shrink because I'm getting divorced. I'm going to the shrink.
Yes.
I had to really, really work on myself.
Yeah.
Did you realize before you went to Alcoholics Anonymous that your husband was an alcoholic? Or was it just
Well,
that something
no,
that
as
came
far as I
later?
could see, everybody that I knew
Yeah.
drank.
Yeah.
Socially, it was quite the thing,
Yeah.
you know? So that was a big education.
You talked about going to the shrink in order to work on you.
Yeah.
I used to do some rehab work for alcoholics. And work with 4th and 5th steps and that sort of thing in the 12-step program.
Yeah.
I've never met the spouse of an alcoholic who was not codependent, a rescuer, a fixer. Did you fall into that pattern?
Of course.
That pattern?
Because I was healthy and strong, and I had a crippled brother. I was a middle child. I had never had a problem.
Yeah. You were the perfect girl.
I was.
You're gonna take
I
care of
made the
everything.
perfect. So once I had to identify myself as that kind of an enabler.
Enable, and that's the word, isn't it?
Yeah. So
An
then
enabler.
you could get to work on it. And then after my divorce, my very best girlfriend was an alcoholic. So I'm studying it and learning, but it takes a while.
It does take a while.
I think it took me about 10 years.
Really?
You know?
Actually, that's not a bad learning curve for a lot of people in that situation.
No.
It takes a while to figure it out. No one wants to admit that you're an alcoholic or that you're married to an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Oh no, and when you love someone, you want to be helpful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And take care of things.
You want to fix it?
Right.
This is fantastic, but we have to take a little bit of a break. When we return, we'll talk more about the challenges of balancing life as the solitary breadwinner with 2 kids and a loved one with addiction. Welcome back. We're continuing our conversation with Marion Ross. As the show became more and more successful, how did that impact your home life?
It was wonderful to have the show be such a success because now I was making a good living.
Yes.
Some security.
And everything was well, and we had a softball team, and we all played softball together. They took the Fonz, who
Yes.
never had played softball in his life,
Right.
from New York City, and they trained him to be the pitcher.
Yeah.
And Ron Howard is a very good ball player. So was Donnie Mose. So was Anson Williams.
Yes.
And Gary Marshall loved to play softball. He played first base. So the ball game was a reason to keep that show going 10, 11
Because you
seasons.
saw so
I
much.
didn't want to give up the team, you know, I didn't give up the team. We traveled all over the U.S. We met thousands of people. It was a very important part of our success,
That's something,
as
yeah.
well as being in the show.
That interaction with people across the country as you played softball.
Oh, absolutely.
That's something.
Because we would meet them on the ball fields.
Yeah. Off stage, you told me that you were a good hitter, but you had a technique for getting on first base.
So you see, I could hit. I was a good hitter. So I would run. Well, I would hit, and I would run with my arms up like this.
Yeah.
Now, they don't want to hit that fine old lady,
Yeah.
so they would overthrow first base, and I
You'd
could
always
get
make it-
on. And then the boys could get me in.
You're a smart girl. You're a smart, sneaky but smart.
Right.
That's good. We talked a little bit before the break about the situation that you found with yourself, learning about alcoholism, learning about yourself and your own role that you've played in that.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you really to come to the point where you thought that maybe I need to make some personal changes here as well?
Well, I went to the shrink right away.
Yeah.
I thought, what is this about?
Yeah.
And I didn't have any idea that I had always been a person that, a codependent kind of person.
that's
Had a
what's right.
crippled brother. I had all kinds of things fit into that. So I would say things to the shrink, you know, and he would say, "Oh, do you believe that?" I just said some profound, you know, thing, and he's what? So I had a good 10-year learning period, and then even after that, because one keeps learning forever.
Yes.
But
Yes, you do.
and then to have my best girlfriend, an alcoholic,
Yeah.
I thought, what is that about?
Yeah.
Why am I getting attracted to people who are alcoholics, or are they getting attracted to me?
To you. Yeah.
They're calling but she called me every day of my life. So it was a long, I encourage people who have to deal with this, whether it's drugs or anything or alcohol, to work on it. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a while.
And support. What support systems did you find to be most helpful to you? Because that seems to be a really important part of things.
I didn't like Alcohol Anonymous. It didn't seem to suit me well. I went to really clung to the church, clung to my nice neighbors, because now I could look around and think, oh, those people, those other friends of mine, they drink too much. So I was pulling myself away from different friends, different groups of friends, and.
But that's important for the addict as well, the alcoholic or the addict. In order to change the behavior, you have to have a new set of friends, people for whom that behavior is not normal.
Right, so it was a period in which I had no friends at all.
Yes.
Then I was reading the Bible.
Yeah.
I was always raised in the church.
Yes.
I'm Episcopalian from my Canadian mother. But I had never really, Episcopalians, we don't do Bible school so much. So, so I never read the Bible. I loved that, but I didn't want other people to know that I was reading the Bible.
Right.
It was a kind of a secret thing.
Is that right?
It was very important to me. Even though I was raised in the church, and I love a family that I came from, but we didn't read the Bible very much.
Right.
You know. So that was.
You found a love for it?
It was fascinating.
For the Bible? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it became a strength for you?
Oh, absolutely.
That's
absolutely.
A source of comfort. Huh?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, that is.
You mentioned AA, and that's still one of the best organizations for people who actually are alcoholics. That Celebrate Recovery is another. Al-Anon, I think, is one that helps support mainly families, you know.
It probably wasn't around.
It may not have been around.
It was around, but
it just wasn't your thing.
I chose not to.
Yeah.
So it's even the minister in my church said, I give you permission. If you want to get out of that marriage, I give you permission.
Give you permission. Was that helpful for you?
I said, I want to get out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to get it.
The truth is that marriage to an alcoholic or an addict is not actually a marriage.
Yeah.
Because they'll choose the jug of choice over you every time.
Yes. Yeah.
And that means that was probably happening for you as well.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So it was a long learning experience.
Yeah. I wanted to say something to you right now and to anyone else watching this show who may find themselves in a similar situation. I applaud you. What you did in ending the marriage, actually, was actually an act of bravery and courage, because you can't fix alcoholism by staying in a marriage. It only hurts you, it hurts your children, hurts your family. And anyone watching the show, realizing what you did and the courage it took to make that stand, I hope that they take some encouragement from you. You did a brave thing without a lot of knowledge. You know, we didn't have as much knowledge about it.
I cried all the time for 10 years.
I don't blame you. I think I would too.
I did.
It's not what you envisioned, was it?
In fact, there was a movie. Oh, I can't think of the title right now. Anyway, an airport, not airplane.
Yeah, no, that's a little different movie.
But this was airport, and I knew George Seaton, the director, from another movie. So I went to see him, and I said, "Oh, I'm getting a divorce." He said, "So I want part in your movie." Oh, okay, he said. It's amazing that I was able to ask people for what I needed,
and they would get it.
They would give it. So he said, "Okay."
Thank you for being with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.